right, what is up, everybody? Divine Hood here, coming at you with another daily update on Bitcoin and the crypto markets. Welcome in, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Dr. Goat, hooty hoo, what's up, Divine Hood? Like and subscribe. What's good, everybody? Like and subscribe. This man knows what he's talking about. Thank you so much, Dr. Goat. I appreciate that, man. And yeah, the charts have been playing out pretty well, according to the TA, or according to my TA anyway. So thank you for that comment. I appreciate that. Crypto Wander 5813, welcome in, my friend. Let's go. Thank you for being here. Thank you for modding. Siri Germ, welcome in. And yes, it looks like we are seeing some pretty nice price action to the upside. In yesterday's video, I talked about this. We were making the video right as we were kind of breaking out of this channel. And we were breaking out of the channel, seeing that back test, seeing another back test, and seeing another back test while we were making the video. And I said in yesterday's video, it's likely to me that this looks like it's holding, and it looks like the channel's holding on the micro time frame bullish back test. And I think that we are going to push up to our purple box of resistance and really, hopefully, to grab the liquidity of the range highs. So we finally hit some important resistance, guys. If we zoom out to the 4-hour chart, you can see that we do have our anchored VWAP from the 98K high. So from our last major weekly high, we're hitting that anchored VWAP, which is also in confluence with that naked weekly point of control that we had up there at 66,875. And you can see hitting into that naked anchored VWAP, that naked weekly point of control. And we're seeing a bit of a small pullback, which I actually expected this. I told you guys earlier today in the Telegram, I think we're going to see a small pullback to around the VWAP. If the VWAP holds, we're going to probably continue up here. If we really start to lose the VWAP, we could see a bigger dump to the downside. Either a bigger dump to backtest the channel before seeing one more high. And I do have a valid Elliott wave count for that as well. We'll go into that in a second. Or if we fall back inside the channel, that's when it could get pretty devastating for Bitcoin. But yeah, playing out nicely here. Chad P, welcome in. Senior Traversa, welcome in, man. Let's see here. Stop going sideways now. Don't ever say we going down to 40K. Bitcoin, please go to the moon music. Yeah, on the macro time frames, we still have to be very, very careful here, guys. First off, we have not taken out the highs at 67.2. So on larger time frames, we have not broken market structure bullishly by taking out that high. Now, if we take out that high, we still have to watch for a bearish scenario of an A, B, C flat, where we are going to end up rolling over and coming down, or more of a WXY. It would be more of some sort of WXY in here where we could roll down. A corrective larger range, taking out the range highs and then rolling over to make new lows. That's pretty much what I'm talking about. But we talked about from the lows at 57.7, which, by the way, was super, super important support. Multiple pitchforks there, high time frame anchored VWAP from the bear market lows, naked monthly points of controls there, daily levels in there. We got a nice move up in an impulse up to 64.6K. Now, after that impulse, we saw this kind of running flat correction in here. And the running flat correction, you can see our anchored VWAP from the range highs held as support. Once we flipped it, it held as support. Now, from this low that was made on Monday, July 13th, we are pushing up. And what we can be looking at is even in an ABC, an A, you have your B flat. And then if we're going to get a C wave just to take out the highs and roll over, we still want to see that C wave being some sort of motive wave structure. A 1, 2, 3. We could get a pullback, and a 4 and a 5. We could see some sort of contracting diagonal come in here as the ending of a C wave. And the contracting diagonal motive wave, there is overlap between the highs and the lows, between the highs and the lows of your moves. But we would be looking for, between the highs and the lows. And then if we get another overlap in here between the highs and the lows in here, some sort of motive wave that could come in. But if that's the case, we still don't have enough. We have 1, 2, 3. We would need a pullback and a 4, and then we would need one more new high. And that new high, you would expect to take out 67.3. Because if this is a larger ABC correction, your C wave still generally does take out the highs of the range in this case. Okay, Dylan, welcome in. Alex, this corrective channel is being pretty nicely respected. Yeah, I agree. And look at where we flipped the midline. We flipped the midline, held it into support, came down, back tested the midline a second time. After 2 back tests of the midline, we work our way up to the top of the channel. Now, the first time we hit the top of the channel, you do get a pretty nice rejection, right? A rejection back down. We had this box marked out prior and ahead of time as our only valid support level. To me, a lot of people were looking at supports within kind of this zone in here. They were looking at the golden pocket, but I said, no, the 786 where we had a daily and a naked daily point of control and our value area low of our local range. That was this local range of that flat correction. You can see the value area low was right in there as well. And that is why I was looking at this green box of support as really the level to be looking for that bounce. We got the bounce and now we are breaking out of that channel. So a couple things happen when you break out of a channel like this. If in the bullish case scenario, when you break out of that channel, you will see generally an immediate low time frame back test and then a giant pump, like you will start to rip here. If you do not start to rip, what you will see, or if there's pretty strong resistance just above the channel, you have to be aware of a fake out. So you can get that immediate time frame back test, bullish back test, and then you come into your big resistance. And generally what happens on a channel breakout like this, where you have big resistance just above, in the bearish scenario, you will reject from that resistance and you will fall back inside the channel, back test that channel, and then you get a big drop to the downside. And generally you sweep all the liquidity. So I would expect to sweep all the way down to around, what is that? That 61,250 low. If we start to fall back inside and close a daily candle back inside of this channel. Now, in the bullish scenario, you generally will break out of the channel. Even if you do reject from that resistance that's above, that big resistance that's above, you will back test that channel. It will hold on a higher time frame bullish back test, and then you see that really nice explosion come into the upside, a really nice motive wave up, and break through the resistance. You break through that prior resistance that you rejected from, and you come up generally much, much higher, and you start to fill in some of the fair value gaps and the imbalances that were created. You'll generally come up to your next little consolidation area, or some big naked weekly, naked monthly points of control, things like that. So that is kind of what I'm looking for, guys. It's an important time right now for Bitcoin to understand whether we are going to get a true breakout here, or if this is some sort of bull trap where we are going to see that rejection and falling back inside. And then if we do fall back inside, especially if we fall back inside right now before taking out these highs, if this is going to be the rejection from the naked weekly POC and the anchored VWAP, and we fall back inside, we wouldn't have that bullish break in market structure on the higher time frames. And that would signal that we could take out our lows at 57.7. Now, let's say we do see us take out those highs. Because we take out those highs and change market structure bullishly, that means we could pull a golden pocket from the low to wherever that high is going to be. And you can put on your golden pocket 786 zone, and we could be looking at a higher low being put in wherever that golden pocket 786 zone is. And so, like, you could come down, make that, you know, left shoulder, head, right shoulder, or tap 1, tap 2, tap 3, model 2 accumulation. And then you would eventually want to break that up and see expansion to the upside. This is something that I've been covering quite a bit on the channel over the past couple of weeks. So this should not be a surprise to anyone that's been following the channel. I know some of you are probably sick to death of me talking about this, but it is important in the overall context of the bear market. As far as time goes, we need a little bit more time as far as the 4-year cycle goes. And so looking at the 60K as a tap 1, looking at all of this, even if we see a drop back down, all of this is a head or a tap 2 in a mini accumulation there, a daily accumulation within a weekly accumulation. And then if we break up, you know, even if it's just a 77K or 74K, and then you could see that tap 3 coming in around September, October, November in that 4th quarter of 2026 to finish a larger weekly accumulation range. Okay, let me continue here. Illuministic, welcome into you. Alex, hey everyone, hope you're all doing great today. Okay, Eric, welcome in as well. Ryan Henson, good afternoon to you. Jesus Save 77, God bless you, and good afternoon to you. Thank you for being here, my man. Dream Tanks TV, Bitcoin to 30K range incoming. it's going to be important. We could see a really bearish scenario depending on what happens in this local move. I don't want to say 30K just yet because we have levels ahead of that. The mid 40s to low 40s is going to be a really strong support level. And we play level to level as traders. But yes, if we do see that harsh rejection, in this general area or even a little bit above, we could see a big move to the downside where we start breaking those mid to high 50s. And remember, the mid to high 50s, guys, is very, very important macro support. So we can throw on our bearish pitchfork of this cycle. You can see we were hitting the bottom of the pitchfork. Now we are coming up to backtest the upper limit of the lower band. This is your upper band. This is your lower band. And we're backtesting. We're about to test as resistance that upper limit of the lower band. After bouncing from the bottom of a pitchfork, if you come up and reject from the lower limit of the lower band or the upper limit of the lower band, a lot of times you will at least see a double bottom of that pitchfork. But if the pitchfork starts to break to the downside, that is when you can see catastrophic dumping, crashing coming in. Now, this is our bearish pitchfork pulled from important all-time highs in 2025 of this cycle, right? If we look at that upper range, it was the very first all-time high within the range forming, this upper range of 2025. I call this the all-time high range right now. This is our upper range. Going to the lows of that range up to your all-time high or the highs of the range, right? And so you can see how well this this bearish pitchfork has been respected, right? First time we came down, we bounced from it. Yes, a little bit of wickage on the daily time frame below it, but it did hold as support. We chopped around finding resistance a few times within the lower limit of that lower band. Once we were able to break up the upper limit of that lower band, gave us some resistance. But then once we flipped it to support right in here, and I remember this day, everyone was starting to get bearish, and I came in, I said, I'm expecting a move up to $82,500 because we're flipping that pitchfork to support. Well, what happens? We come up to the midline. We see the harsh rejection from the midline. Because we see that harsh rejection from the midline, now this time we dump straight through that lower band and come to the bottom of the pitchfork. So this kind of range in here between that lower band of the pitchfork and the bottom of the pitchfork is often when you'll see accumulation. And when you can see that bullish divergence form between those lows, it is a good sign for a potential breakout, backtest, and continuation up to the next pitchfork level, which is going to be around 77K. Now, we have another pitchfork we can look at, and we actually have a few pitchforks. Why this mid to high 50s was so important support level. Let's go ahead and look at our last bear cycle pitchfork. You can see we're coming down to the midline of that pitchfork. Now, this is a little bit of an unconventional pitchfork because we're pulling it from a bear market low that's in the middle, bringing it up to that 69K high and down to that 15.5K low. But this pitchfork has been very highly respected. I mean, look at the top of the pitchfork. Rejection, distribution up at the top, rejection. We've worked our way down through that pitchfork. Let me hide the bearish one so we can clean this up, and you will see how highly respected this has been. Bounce from the upper limit or the upper band. You get a rejection from VWAP. You fall through that band. We finally come down to the midline. So important midline support of another bullish, a more macro time frame bullish pitchfork. Okay. Now, if we look at, where was it? This guy here, you can see that we're at the pitchfork support of another macro inside pitchfork. So this is a bearish pitchfork, actually, guys. Let me go ahead and zoom out a little bit more. I'll go to the 3-day time frame. This is actually a bearish pitchfork, and the pitchfork is pulled from your 65K highs down to your 31K lows, up to your 69K highs, but it's meant to measure this bearish downtrend here. But what you can do with pitchforks is when you start to change that trend, you can change it to an inside pitchfork, which will give you resistances on the next pump. And you can see how highly respected this pitchfork has been. You know, you find some resistance at the lower band, you hold the bottom, you break up through the midline, you reject from the upper band. You can see some chop bouncing from the midlines. Finally, it flips to resistance. You can kind of get a drop here, but once you break back above it and flip it to support again, you work your way up towards the top of that pitchfork. Even attempting to break out on a second attempt, you see that failed auction distribution Once you see that failed auction distribution, you fall back inside, you just work your way down through the pitchfork, right? So we're at that lower band. And that is another pitchfork that we have. So we have three major pitchforks I just showed you that all were finding support at those high 50s to mid 50s. If we go to our Binance chart where we look at our multi-cycle pitchfork, which is a super, super important pitchfork pulled from the COVID 2020 lows up to your 65K highs, which were the bull market highs as far as volume and liquidity went, volume and money flow, down to your 15K.5K lows. And you can see how well this pitchfork, I've literally been using it the entire bull market. And you can even go back and watch some videos I made, private videos I made from Jason back in 2022, I believe it was, 2022 or 2023, where I've been studying this pitchfork very carefully. Well, we've come down for the first time in this entire bull market to hit the bottom of this pitchfork. And what I said is this is more of a weekly time frame pitchfork. So you do not want to close a weekly candle body below the pitchfork, but you can see some wickage past it. After rejecting pretty much to the exact dollar, if we go on to the daily time frame, we rejected to the exact dollar pretty much from that high at 82.8 from the lower limit of the lower band of the pitchfork. We have fallen to the bottom of the pitchfork and we are holding support at the bottom. So are we going to see that bigger move up? In a true breakout, we are going to break this range to the upside and we are going to come up to those larger resistances above us. And then, of course, there is even another pitchfork that we can look at. All that, suffice that to say that the mid 50s to the high 50s was probably your most important support level as far as trend, volume, all these different metrics go. That mid to high 50s was super important. Now, if we lose that mid to high 50s, if we do make a bearish corrective range here and start to drop, we could see small bounces along the way. You know, 52K is going to be important. 49K liquidity is going to be important. But we could see that big drop down to like 42 to like 39K. And that is going to be our next major support level before coming down into the 30s, the low 30s, you know, 34 to 32K. So as traders, we play it level to level. But right now, we're focused on this range here. We're focusing on whether this range is going to be a corrective sideways range with a drop incoming, or if this is going to be an actual true breakout here. And we're going to see more upside pushes into the mid 70s or even high 70s. And depending on how we react at that mid to high 70s, like let me go back to the Coinbase chart. I really do think that 77K level, 77 to 78K level is going to be very, very important resistance. If we turn on that bearish pitchfork, you can see that our midline is coming up there. And if we break above this lower band and flip it to support, I really do think we could see a move all the way up into the high 70s there, where let's go ahead and pull our Fibonacci golden pocket, our 786. You can see our 786. Now, this is on log scale, guys, because that is a 30% drop. Or this isn't on log scale, but it's right at your cutoff. So if we measure that distance from 82.8 to 57.7, you can see that it's right at 30%. So general rule of thumb is when you're using the log chart, if it's more than a 100% pump to the upside, you want to take your Fibonacci retracement and use the setting based off log scale. If you want to, and if it's more than a 30% dump, you take that and you put that setting on. So it's right at 30%. So it's right at that kind of cutoff or that zone. So that makes this a little bit confusing because on the non-log scale, we actually do have some nice, or on the non-log Fibonacci retracements, we actually do have some really nice levels that align. You know, the 74K, 73, 74K golden pocket, 77.5K up, you know, up in this zone with some internal liquidity in here, up into your pitchfork midline. If we pull our range and we look at all of this as a range, you can see that the value area high of that range is coming in at the golden pocket. If we just look at kind of this price action in here, value area high is a little bit higher. And that's where when you shift this based off log scale, you can see the value area high 786 is very close to each other. But what I'm trying to say is if we start to break above this pitchfork band and flip it to support, you know, what I would want to see is I would want to see a daily candle close above the pitchfork band. Now, if we can have our daily candle, maybe tomorrow, our daily candle closes above that pitchfork band. The next day, we see a small pullback throughout the day to back test that, and it holds, then I would expect that continuation up into the mid to high 70s. And we don't have a lot that is going to keep us from breaking up. Look at this big imbalance in here that we're seeing. And a quick move down means we could see a quick move up through it. And the first kind of consolidation or resistance that we're seeing is that, 74K area, which is where the golden pocket is. Okay, let me see the chat here. Adam, welcome in, my friend. Adam Thomas, thank you for being here. Can you look at the lower time frame parallel channel from 66,750? Okay, let me zoom in on that. Let's go to the 1 hour. So 66,750 down. It's respecting the 15-minute nicely. So 66,750. Oh, I think you mean like. Okay, you'll have to let me know a little bit about what time frame that is. I think you're looking at this little parallel channel on like the 5-minute, 6-minute time frame. If you're looking at kind of this pullback throughout the day, let's see, not that guy. You would be looking at from 66,750. That is something like this channel in here, maybe. Well, what I can say right now is, yes, we are breaking out of kind of this lower time frame corrective channel that we've been seeing. A little bit of a fake out of the channel, but held support, held support, held support. We're flipping the VWAP, which is super important. And guys, earlier today in the Telegram, once we started to lose that VWAP, I said we need to reclaim this very quickly, or we could see Bitcoin dump more. But if we can reclaim it, then guess what? We can probably come for that liquidity at 67,250. And so let's watch here. Let's watch and let's see if we can't start to close like an hourly candle. I would want to close an hourly candle. And actually, yeah, look at that. So you broke down below. You had 1 hourly candle below, but we closed that hourly candle pretty much at the VWAP. The next hourly candle opens above VWAP, and now we're pushing up, continuing up here, which is pretty bullish. 67,650. Okay, 67,650. On the lower time frame, 67,650. Nice, you shorted 66,850. Well, that was the level, right? That was our level. That was our naked weekly point of control and our VWAP, our anchored VWAP. Now that we're starting to reclaim the daily VWAP, I would be careful on that. I mean, if you start to break above your local golden pocket, so let's pull a golden pocket from the highs from today to that low that we made about 2 hours ago, 3 hours ago. If you start to break above 66.6, I would really think about taking some profit on that short position or potentially even closing it out, because that would mean our local bullish momentum is still going to continue. Let's look at our order flow real quick. Are we seeing anything on the order flow? Let's go to the 15-minute chart. Where did you go here? All right. Yeah, nothing as of yet. Too much on order flow. We could actually be putting in some bearish CVD divergences, depending on if we reject from our local golden pocket up here. Like in this zone, if we reject from golden pocket, if this continues pushing higher, we would have higher highs in the CVD. You would have lower highs in that price action. Now, the only thing is it's on a dump in open interest. So it wouldn't be bearish CVD absorption, but it would be a bit of a bearish CVD divergence, which maybe is just going to extend the range, a local range, maybe create a local range. All right. ETH is breaking the low time frame channel to the upside now. Yeah, we'll check out some of the altcoins in just a second, guys. Just a few minutes here. What are the settings for your pitchfork? Mine doesn't look like yours. Yeah, so for a pitchfork, let's say I just pull a random pitchfork here. If you go into the settings, I simply have the 0.5 on, which is your dark green bands, or your light green bands, I should say. are the 0.5, the plus and the negative 0.5. And then the darker green bands is your golden pocket, your 618 golden Fibonacci ratio, right? And that creates that upper band and that lower band. So if you come in here, you see I only have my 0.5, my 618, and my 1 turned on. Now I'll turn off the background, or I'll move the opacity all the way down to 0 just because it's better for me. You could just click that off if you wanted to. And then, you know, your blue lines are the top and bottom, and your red line is the midline. So I do keep the median line on there. And then you can just choose whichever pitchfork you want to choose, you know, depending on the structure, depending on what you're looking at. It helps to know Elliott waves a little bit for that. But that is the settings for you. So you don't expect a pullback before the move into the 70s? No, Chi-Chan, that's not necessarily what I was saying. I'm saying that if we're going to get the pullback, it's pretty much from where we're at now, or just an itty bit higher. Another thing I wanted to show you guys, let me zoom out to the daily time frame. So what we're looking at in the bigger move down from 82.8K down to 57.7K. We were looking at this as a 5-wave move, right? This 1 in here, a 2, and I know that 2 was very short in time and price, but remember, it did hit the 382, and it's a valid wave 2, even though it's short in time and price. And then we got our big dump down in a wave 3. Then we got that corrective range here in a wave 4, where we did reject between the 382 and the 0.5. So if we throw that on, here, you throw on those wave 4 targets. You can see we rejected pretty much right at the 382. You wicked up a little bit past it, but you rejected from your wave 4 target being that 382. And then after that, we saw one last impulse in a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we had our clean 5-wave impulse to the downside. Where is that on my charts here? Here you go. That is that 5-wave move to the downside. By the way, we were looking for an impulse down from here. That's why I was looking to take out 58K. And I was looking to hit the naked monthly point of control for that swing long position. Now, after an impulse finishes from 82.8 all the way to 57.7, you'll generally have a corrective move, right? Some sort of corrective move. Now, in a bearish case scenario, you could just take out remember, the termination point of a higher degree or a lower degree wave 4, just like we saw a couple days ago on the live stream. I think that was last Friday. Well, we have our lower degree wave 4 here. If you come to that termination point and you reject from that zone, you could see new lows coming in. But also within an impulse, after an impulse finishes, you're expecting some sort of corrective move. And generally, the corrective move goes to the minimum of the 382. So if we pull a Fibonacci from the high of the impulse to the low of the impulse, and we just turn on that 382 support, well, look at where it's at, guys. 67.3, the SFP of the range highs right into that 67.3. So in a very bearish scenario, remember the 382 acts as strong resistance or strong support in a strong trend. This trend so far has been a very strong trend to the downside. Okay. Now, in the most bearish case scenario, you come up, you retrace, you reject from that 382. It's also your wave 4 termination point, your prior wave 4 termination point, and it's also kind of that flat scenario, right? You have your flat in here where you're expecting to take out this high here and then roll over. So Chi-Chan, we could reject from this zone, this purple box zone, and then roll over and aggressively drop to the downside. That is still a scenario. Now, in a more bullish case scenario, we're going to be looking at that continuation up, right? A 1 of running flat and a 2, and then this third wave is going to want to break through that pretty aggressively and continue pumping pretty aggressively through it, maybe up to that 74K zone where we see then a wave 4 pullback at 74K, and then see your fifth and final wave come up to 77, 78K. And that would give you that impulse from here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we don't know which one's going to happen yet, right? But we're at the zone. If the bigger rejection is going to happen, this is the zone to be watching, especially grabbing the liquidity into that 382 at 67.3, guys. Very, very key kind of test that's happening. And this test could take a few days. It doesn't mean we have to come up there, reject, and fall right away. It could start to form a range up here, some sort of topping reversal range, right? Some sort of head and shoulders type pattern that forms, spins a week or 2 weeks up here, and then we start to roll over and drop. Okay. There are so many longs locally on the heat map. Yeah, let's look at our liquidation heat map. Now, I know this is liquidations, not necessarily longs and shorts, but there's a few key couple things on this liquidation heat map. So first off, we're looking at the last 3 months of price action, and pretty much we're looking at that sideways range. You can see here from going back to the beginning of June, right? June 3rd. So if I go onto our chart here, the beginning of June 3rd, which is right in here, like this entire lower range. Okay, if we're looking at this lower range, let's go back to our liquidation heat map. You can see like it's a little bit farther because there's an extra month of a dump in here. But from the bottom of this lower range, where is our key liquidity within this range? Well, to the upside, we've taken some, saw a pullback, taken some more, didn't get much of a pullback. We're coming up to the highs, which we know there's liquidity right above those highs, right into 67.3. We still have some local liquidity above the range highs. But if we do break out, you can see our next big liquidity cluster isn't until we get up to around $74,000, which is where your golden pocket is. But the overall highest liquidity pocket above us is coming up into, where is it, guys? 77K. 77K. Right in here. 77, 78K, guys. That is your big 786 and pitchfork midline zone of your bearish pitchfork. And then also your anchored VWAP from the all-time high is probably going to be close. By the time we get there, it's probably going to be close into that area as well. You know, seeing something like a breakout up into this. So above us, key liquidity, the highest, most concentrated liquidity pocket above us is at 77K. Now, in the bearish case scenario, say we take this little bit of liquidity right above us at 67.3, you can see below us, there isn't really liquidity, even though we have all of these liquidity here, liquidity here, liquidity here, you know, all these little kind of liquidity trails that are being created, that parabolic channel, or not channel, but parabola more, this in here where it kind of gets more and more that liquidity trail that's building, this low, this higher low, this higher low, this higher low, this higher low, and then this higher low. But you can see the main liquidity is going to be coming down and grabbing that low into $61,000 or 60,500, let's say 60,600, pretty much between 61K and $60,500. Well, let's see, guys. It's between this low, below this low is where our major liquidity to the downside is. All right, let's just do a little thought experiment here. Let's say we reject from where we're at right now, or even a little bit higher. Let's pull our golden pocket from the lows. We'll pull it to our current highs right now, and let's throw on our golden pocket. Well, what do you know? Golden pocket at 61K coming down to grab that low right into your golden pocket. So if we do see a rejection here, we could see a quick flush down, especially if we re-enter back within that channel, that pink channel. We could see a flush of all of these trail of liquidity into your 61K golden pocket, grabbing liquidity into key support. We know that liquidity is first and foremost the most important thing to pay attention to. And guys, anytime you see a liquidity grab into a golden pocket, pay attention to it. It always gives you some sort of reaction, even if it's a failed reaction of a small bounce rejection and then you continue. This should at least give you some sort of scalp position, right? And so now we know with the liquidity sitting there on the heat map. And of course, if we break that trail of liquidity to the downside, that pool of liquidity to the downside, well, the next liquidity isn't coming to take out the lows at 57.7. And then if we break that, look at all the way down to 50K, 51, 52K, right? Okay, let me scroll up. Where was I in the chat? Sudeep, much love to you. Welcome in. Thank you for being here, and thank you for modding for me. Yes, please do hit the like the stream, guys. Hit that like button. Yeah, we can check out near. We'll check out ETH near. Solana was one that I wanted to check out for you guys. Solana is coming up to some resistance that I have marked out on the charts. Abe C9B, absolutely, man. Thank you for the kind comment. I appreciate that comment. And thank you for being here. Marius, well, hello, Divine. Must to be very careful at USDT. Just take some liquidity. Yeah, let's check USDT. Another thing I wanted to show you guys, I'm going to show you right after this, is the total chart, because we're important. So actually, yes, this is great, guys. Look at this. We are coming down to bullishly backtest the channel that we broke out from. We just took some liquidity. Actually, I don't think on this chart we have. Let me see here. Let's throw that on there. It's more of a double bottom, so it's not a clean liquidity grab. It's more of a double bottom. I guess, yeah, you do see that little bit of wickage past it. And it's also at the bullish backtest of the value area high. Now, guys, we know that USDT is inversely correlated to Bitcoin. Inversely correlated. So if USDT is at support of a bullish backtest of a value area high and it's seeing a liquidity grab of the lows, which if it was seeing a liquidity grab of the lows, if it was a perfect world, Bitcoin would be seeing a liquidity grab of the highs. Unfortunately, it's not. It's just a few $100s short of that. But this is a very nice reversal area, right? It's an area for USDT dominance to find support and to bounce, to come up and take out all of these highs, prior bear market highs. And it's an area for Bitcoin to dump. Do we see bull divs coming down here? Not on Market Cipher. We saw some bull divs, but it gave us a little bit of a push up to a local value area high, rejected us, and now we're losing that value area. So no, as of on the higher time frames, it's not showing us that. Now, guys, if we break back inside this volume profile, that is when we could see the big Bitcoin pump come in. We could see this thing melt down into the POC or even to the value area low. Honestly, this is concerning to me as a bull. This is very concerning to me that we're seeing kind of that double bottom into the value area high. It is a good spot for a reversal if we're being objective on the chart. Also, Bitcoin's at a good resistance area for a reversal. But let's go to the total market cap chart because this is also important. Total market cap chart, we've been following this pitchfork that has been highly, highly respected. Right? Support, resistance, support, resistance. Tried to break above it, flipped it. You worked your way up to the value area high. We've lost that value area. You can see of this entire bottoming range in here, which is a little bit more flat than Bitcoin's. After rejecting from the value area high, we lost the value area low. We bearishly backtested it. And when we rejected on that bearish backtest, you expect to take out this low. Well, we did, right? Now we're making another move up after taking out that low. We're making another move up. Man, look at where our pitchfork is at. We now could flip the pitchfork midline into resistance again. And if we come up here and we reject here, you could see that move, that big aggressive move all the way down to that lower band and see kind of a tap 1, tap 2, tap 3 accumulation, like a model 1 accumulation in here. So total market cap is getting close to some macro resistance, but we're not there yet. We're still a little bit of ways from it. And as of right now, we're maintaining our bullish market structure. We're holding support at the VWAP. Look at this. We broke above the VWAP yesterday, back tested the support, make new highs. Come down to the VWAP, back tested the support, we would expect to make new highs. And maybe this local trend is going to continue up on total market cap for a little bit longer until we get up to this resistance zone. But with Bitcoin being at resistance and maybe a little bit higher, you know, the resistance is a zone, and total market cap is being very close to its resistance, and USDT being very close or at support, we have to be careful for reversals here, guys. We do have to be careful. Let's look at our important 8-hour time frame. Do we see bear divs on the chart on Market Cipher? No, we don't. We already had these 8-hour bear divs play out with this move down. Okay. Locally, no bear divs. On NAMI, excuse me, no bear divs. Money flow still looks pretty good on both of them. Let's go to our 4-hour chart. 4-hour chart, no bear divs. We had some bear divs that played out with a little local move down, but no bear divs on the chart. How about the 1-hour chart? No bear divs. Yes, NAMI is showing some bear divs, but it's not, and some money flow bear divs on the 1-hour, but it's not the most dire thing. It's just starting to say, hey, warning signs, we could be getting close to the end of a pump. But for right now, it doesn't look like we have those big bearish confirmations for a major reversal. The other thing we looked at was on the weekly time frame, as we were coming down into that support there, bullish divergences confirmed on the weekly time frame. Lower lows, higher lows. The momentum wave has started rolling up on Market Cipher. Your money flow has started to bottom out and started to curve to the upside on Market Cipher with bull divs on the weekly on money flow. Okay. Now on NAMI, this is the only concerning part. NAMI locally did not have the bull divs, and even regionally does not have the bull divs, right? It's more of an equal low there. But weekly bull divs confirming on Market Cipher is a pretty bullish kind of scenario confirmation there. All the major macro timeframes are pointing to we could see a breakout, guys. And what we want to see on total market cap is we want to break above this midline, flip it to support, and then continue working our way up. And we could pull our golden pocket from the highs to the lows. And you could be looking at golden pocket 786 zone. 786 is probably where I'd be looking because your POC is there. You do have a fair value gap that would be ending around this golden pocket, but what I'm trying to say is we might see a bigger breakup. And if you see a bigger breakup to the 786 on total, that is pretty much equal to Bitcoin hitting 77, 78K. If we look at the Bitcoin chart, that same 786 on Bitcoin, you can see 77.4, 77.5-ish. Right in there. So some important things to be watching here. Now on Bitcoin as well, let me just hide some of this, get some of this off the chart. Some important things to be looking at on Bitcoin as well. Weekly bull divs confirmed on Market Cipher. Money flow starting to curve to the upside. Momentum wave starting to curve to the upside. NAMI, same thing. You don't have the bull divs. You have more equal lows as well between the more regional momentum waves. Not the most bullish signal I want to see, but at least we're confirming some bull divs on Market Cipher. And what that means is that if we can flip this lower band, we can work our way up there to the next major level. We can also look at, we had a couple big channels we've been looking at, right? So we have our channel. I'm just going to zoom into the daily time frame. We have our lower channel, our lower pink descending channel. This guy, we're starting to break out of it. But if we look at, we even do have a bigger channel on Bitcoin, and I believe it was on this chart. Yeah. Pretty much going from the 60K low to your 57.7 low up to your 82.8K high. Let's just get rid of some of this and clean the chart up. You can see that. And by the way, we finally hit that naked daily point of control today, guys. You can see if we look at this channel, that midline is going to be coming in around 68.4, where our anchored VWAP on Binance, or excuse me, Bybit, from the bear market lows, it's the only anchored VWAP that is above us. All the rest of the anchored VWAPs from the bear market low are below us. On Binance, on the index chart, on the Coinbase chart, on every other chart, it's just Bybit for some reason. That VWAP, that anchored VWAP is much higher. But Bybit is the second. If I was going to not use Coinbase, Bybit would be my number 2 choice for a chart to use. But look at, you can see, once again, guys, and more important pitchworks to look at, right? More important pitchworks to be looking at. That's that same pitchwork I showed you earlier in the stream. This channel, this descending channel. So why are we looking at a descending channel in here? Because we're looking at a possible mini accumulation, right? Tap 1, tap 2, tap 3, and then you could break out and you could come to the top of this channel, reject, and then we could see a move down. And then this would be like a tap 1, tap 2, tap 3, a larger weekly accumulation. So we need to pay attention to both channels, but right now we're focused on this smaller one until we start to see true resolution of what happens here. Once we start to see that, now we can take our attention off of that and we can start to put our attention on this range. All right. Well, I think most of the people in the BTC market are actually bearish, which could mean that we see a hated rally. Yeah, we could see a hated rally right now. I do think a lot of people are bearish. I do. The 200 daily EMA and SMA is at that 70 to 74K area with the GP2. Okay, cool. Thank you, Christopher. So we do have some moving average confluence, you guys. No, welcome in, my friend. Gesture BTV, welcome in. It's not a Discord, it's a Telegram. And speaking of that, guys, if you do want to join the Telegram, it's free. It's a private community. It's free. All you have to do is join BYDFI using my affiliate link in the description. And then once you've done that, you make a minimum deposit of $100 or more. The money you deposit, you're not paying it to me. You're not paying it to BYDFI. It's your money. You're just depositing it on the exchange in hopes that you will try out the exchange, like the exchange, and stick with it. But once you've done that, once you've signed up and made the minimum deposit, just click the Telegram link in the description and you're going to type in /verify and then your user ID on BYDFI, and that'll get you into the Telegram. I'll go through some of the partners of the channel in just a second. I just want to keep reading here. Illuministic, thank you so much. Love your analysis, man. Yeah, we can look at Filecoin too. So we'll look at gold, Filecoin, near ETH. Yeah, let's see. You're welcome, Adam. Do you see a brief retracement to 65K to take the highs at 67.2, then 61K? Well, let's talk about that. So right now we could reject from this anchored VWAP. And if we do, I would expect to move down to backtest the channel. So yeah, around 65K, maybe 65 to 64.8. But what we can look at is you can pull that volume profile of this range, and you'd be looking at pretty much 64,850 to around 65K. Yes, so we could see a small rejection here to come down to backtest the value area high again before seeing that taking of liquidity, right? Something like this before taking liquidity, that is absolutely possible. But with what we're seeing right now, we're kind of reclaiming the VWAP. It might not it might not happen. We might just continue straight up to take it right away. No more lows. Bull time now, Divine. We've been shorting for 7+ months. Yeah, Quant, I'm in some nice swing longs, so I would not mind that, you know. I would not mind that. But I'm just going to play both sides, right? As traders, we try not to get too focused on the bull, like being a perma bull or perma bear. We're at resistance. If I see confirmation to short here, I'm going to short here, even if I think it could go higher. Just like at the bottom, I saw confirmation to long down here, even though I thought it could break down to 56K or even lower. But, you know, that's what's great to be a trader. That's why it's great to be a trader. $61K is nice for a long, Nature Joe. Now, if we break down back inside the channel, back inside your volume profile, yes, we would likely come down and sweep all that liquidity, probably close to your value area low. Remember that liquidity is coming in close to your value area low, and that's where your golden pocket would be as well, close to that value area low. But even after a long from there, what I would expect, because it would kind of confirm a bearish break in market structure, right? You'd be breaking all these higher lows in here. You'd be breaking market structure bearishly. If we got the long from there, I would expect it to be a long to make a lower high before continuing lower. So I would still consider longing it, but I would be taking profit at lower high resistances. And then be looking to add to the short at those resistances, add to a short here, or take a new short here, right? Okay, LTC and Link. Yep. Okay, we'll look at some of the altcoins right now. Guys, before we look at the altcoins, I just want to take a second to shout out the partners of the channel. So the main partner of the channel is BYDFI. They're a VPN and KYC free exchange. All you need is an email and a password to sign up. If you do sign up using my affiliate link in the description below, you can get a minimum of 20% discounts on your trading fees, and you can earn up to 40% discounts if you do deposit some larger amounts into the exchange. They're offering up to $8,100 in futures trading bonuses. So not just trading Bitcoin, but all the altcoins as well. Anything against the USDT pair, depending on the amount of volume you trade, you can earn up to $8,100 extra dollars, which is a great incentive in my opinion. If you're trading on the derivatives futures exchanges anyways, might as well take advantage of that. They're offering some of the best initial deposit bonuses in the entire industry. If you deposit $100, you'll get a 50% deposit bonus, which is over double what most exchanges will give you on a $100 deposit. They're giving you 20% deposit bonuses up to a $1,000 deposit, and they're giving you 10% deposit bonuses up to a $20,000 deposit, which is double what most exchanges will do. I've also partnered with BYDFI to create that Telegram community. It's a free community. It's private, but it's free. All you have to do is join BYDFI using using the affiliate link in the description, and then make a minimum deposit of $100 or more. You can deposit more if you want to get some of the bigger bonuses, but once you've signed up and made that minimum deposit, you can click the Telegram link in the description of this video, and in that Telegram verify channel, you're going to type in /verify and then your BYDFI user ID, and that'll get you into the Telegram. I have a few other exchanges. Blowfin is another non-KYC exchange. They're offering some discounts on trading fees, some initial deposit bonuses, VIP 1 for 30 days. I have MEXC and Bybit as the KYC exchange partners. Both of them are offering some discounts on trading fees and some sign-up bonuses as well. And then lastly, I have NAMI Trading, which is this momentum and money flow indicator you see on the bottom of your screen here. And I use this for confirmations to enter and exit trades. The reason why I was so hyper bullish down at 57.7K, really 57.9K, was where I was looking to long, because we did see, guys, on the daily time frame lower lows here, but also lower lows regionally here. We saw the multiple drives of bull div coming down to 57.7, and we saw the regional drives of bull div here as well. So, and the money flow bull div. It gave me my confirmation to look for a swing long from 57.9. And look at the move it's given us so far. Over what, a $10,000 move, or just about a $10,000 move to the upside? $9,200 move to the upside. So since I've been using NAMI for confirmations to enter trades and to exit trades, my profit margins have gone up quite a bit, and it gets me into the good trades that are more likely to play out, keeps me out of the bad trades that are less likely to play out. If you guys are interested in purchasing NAMI, I have partnered with NAMI Trading to get you guys 50% off. You just have to click the affiliate link in the description, and when you're checking out on the website, you type in a discount code Divine50 in the discount code promotion box. Okay, that's it, guys, for the partners. Let's get back to the TA here. Mark Dutch, welcome in, my friend. Greetings from Croatia. Wow, Mark, good to see you in here, man. I hope the travels are still going well for you, and the world tour continues. That's really awesome, Mark. How did you like Slovenia, by the way? And how does it compare to Croatia? All right. Nature Joe, you said, thanks. That's what I'm seeing. Learned a lot from you. Yeah, 65K is looking good. And remember, 65K was our last highs. That was that first purple box. If you guys remember, 65K was an important resistance. Yeah, it was an important resistance. But after bouncing from support, we kind of flipped it to support and continued up. So right now is the next major box. If you guys remember the past 3 weeks on this channel, I've had two purple boxes on the chart. I had a purple box around 65K, and we had this current purple box right here. The reason why, anchored VWAP from 98K, we had a naked weekly point of control at the bottom of the box. We have our liquidity here, and we have our 0.382 up here. We also have a naked daily point of control up there. I believe that's a naked daily point of control at the top of the box. Where are we at here? Yep, naked daily point of control, 67,439. Your macro 382 is there. right around there. Remember, let's pull that 382. I think it's still on the chart. Yeah, your 382 Fibonacci is there. Rejects you in a strong trend. But most importantly, it's because of the liquidity of the range highs. All right, let's go real quickly. I know you guys wanted to go into some of the altcoins. I wanted to look at ETH real quick. You said that ETH was breaking out. Now, this is concerning for me for ETH. If you guys remember, we were looking at, actually, let me keep that on there. That is the flat targets, right? Between the 1.236 and the 1.382. Well, Ethereum did not take out its lows, its prior lows from beginning of June, like Bitcoin did. And in a flat scenario, and the reason why I'm looking at a flat scenario here is because look at this first move up. It looks like a 3-wave corrective move here. And any larger push to the upside, any impulse, if this was going to be a wave 1, a wave 2, and this was going to be a wave 3, 4, 5, you cannot start an impulse with a 3-wave corrective move. You cannot start your wave 1 with a 3-wave corrective move. And objectively looking, this is far easier and far better counted as a 3-wave corrective move in here. We also have that kind of 3-wave corrective move down here. So could we be looking at some sort of larger sideways 3-wave corrective move with maybe some sort of contracting diagonal to end it in here? But the flat correction zone is between the 1.236 and the 1.382. Well, we hit the 1.236 the other day and then saw a pretty decent pullback. If we're pulling our volume profile of that range, yeah, I guess we are breaking out pretty nicely out of the value area high of the range, flipped it to support, and then worked our way up to that target. But we also have to watch for sort of double tops in this area, right? In this area. And if we do get that double top in there, we could at least see a move to take out your local low, another sort of kind of flat scenario in here to end it, or to see another larger corrective range before continuing up. But we did just SFP the highs. If we look at the highs from Wednesday, last Wednesday, perfect clean SFP of those highs. Now, do we have bear dibs on the chart? No, we don't on the 4-hour. Do we have it on the 8-hour, which is always important to look at? You do have very slight bear dibs on the 8-hour chart. Higher highs here, some lower highs here, but more importantly, you do have some regional bear divs between your last major high, this high, and now this high. And then you can see on NAMI, well, these bear divs already played out, and we have equal highs here. So, and then let's go to the lower time frames. Let's go to like the 2-hour and the 1-hour. 2-hour, no bear divs here. One hour has some slight bear divs, but it's not, it's kind of from this. And locally on NAMI, we don't. So a little bit of warning signs flashing. The biggest thing is the SFP of the high, right? That clean SFP there, you bounce from VWAP, you make a lower high, and then you fall down. That is what's scary to me. If we go zoom in onto the 15-minute, look at this. We get the SFP of the high, right? After SFPing the high, we see a 3-wave corrective move, back test the VWAP, but we come up, we make a lower high, and now after trying to hold the VWAP all day, you flipped it to resistance. So this thing could really start to break down here, and you could be looking at all of these as that kind of channel-y chop before a bigger breakdown. Yeah, so let's see what happens here. But if we do see that bigger breakdown, we would just want to look at the value area high of the range, which is going to be coming in at the bullish backtest of the value area high is at 1771, let's say 1771. We can also pull that Fibonacci flat target. Yeah, look at where it would be coming in. So your support could be coming in. The liquidity is into the 1.382. And the value area highs into the 1.236. So it's kind of a 2 zones I would be looking at. I'd be looking at it as kind of this little box. And then if you break that, I would be looking at the liquidity into the 786. Now, I know it's pretty much one zone, but that's I would trade it as two different setups in my opinion. And then if you fall back inside this volume profile, it's not looking good here. Not looking good at all. And then if we look at, yeah, and guys, I just don't like how we didn't take liquidity at the bottom here and that this first move up was a 3-wave move. Now, let's say we are going to get a bigger push to the upside. You can see that your prior range in here, your prior 4-month long range, you're back testing the value area low of that range right now. Let's just throw that on there. And if we reject on the bearish back test of the value area low, you're going to see a move back inside your lower range. At the very least, you're probably going to see a move back inside. Right now, we're holding actually above it. Right? Let's make this really accurate here. Okay, you're actually trying to break back inside that prior volume profile. So if you can break back inside your prior volume profile, you do have a real chance to move up to the POC, which is going to be around that $2,000 mark, 2065, let's say. Yeah, another thing to look at is the much larger range, right? This much larger upper price action of the past 5 years. This is literally a 5-year long range in here. You can see that it goes back really to about May of 2021. And we're in June of 2026, or July of 2026. So over 5 years long, we bounced from the POC. So if this can hold and we really can break back up inside this range, we have a real chance of coming up to visit your POC or even your value area high of the range, which I would suspect by the time we work our way up there, it's going to be inside this pitchfork band. And then we could see even still a larger ABC and then a drop. Well, I would expect the drop probably to come down to the value area low first. The big thing that is concerning with me with Ethereum is just that first move up, guys. If we're looking at this objectively, that move up right there looks corrective. And we didn't take out the lows like Bitcoin, because if we took out the lows like Bitcoin, we could have said this was part of an impulse down, right? And then the new low would be the low, and we could look for a potential new impulse to the upside, a break of market structure to the upside. But because we didn't take out that low, it is very, very concerning that we're seeing part of a larger corrective move before the continuation down. So cautiously optimistic on Ethereum, but far more optimistic on Bitcoin to break out. I just want to check the naked monthly point of control here to see if we have one. Yeah. All right. And we do have that naked monthly that's going to be around 2100, I believe, 2116. And then look at your important naked weeklies. The next important naked weekly is at the value area high of the range. So we have some pretty nice confluence here, guys. And one last thing we'll look at is pulling our Fibonacci golden pocket. And I want to double check to see if that's more than a 30% drop. Yeah, that's a 40% drop, guys, almost. So I would take this golden pocket, shift it. So golden pocket is going to be at your prior range POC. But if you use the non-log golden pocket, it's going to be at your naked monthly POC. So I would say it's kind of a zone, right? This is your big zone. And I understand that's a big zone. So maybe you trade them as two separate zones. Use about 2060-ish as one level. And then if you get stopped out of that one, you could look to re-enter around 2120-ish, let's say. All right, let's go to Near, and I'm going to try to go through these quick, guys, because I do want to follow Bitcoin right now. So Near protocol, we came down, hit that naked monthly point of control, or naked daily, excuse me, at 174.5, and we've just been consolidating and chopping in here. But I'm still looking for Near. So on the lower time frames, I was looking potentially for that move down to 184. We talked about this last week, to grab these lows at 184 in here before taking out the highs at 211. Essentially, we're chopping sideways, right? And we could look at a couple ranges in here. We could look at our very local sideways range right here. Okay, we rejected the value area high, made a lower high. We're coming down to POC. If your POC doesn't hold, then yes, you are at least going to sweep all of this internal stuff right in here and come down to value area low. But the value area low is so close to all of this liquidity, and even this guy at 184, I would suspect you're going to sweep all of it. And then we could pull this volume profile just back to here and look at kind of this sideways range. Yeah, and you can see with this sideways range, you would be coming down to the larger range value area low, which would be right where that 184 is, sweeping that into the 184. Near is pretty difficult right now because we have a high here. This is pretty much a semi-equal high. So we have a lot of liquidity building into the value area high. But below us, same type of thing, right? You have liquidity all in here. So it's very, very, when you see ranges like this with multiple barely higher lows or barely lower highs like this, generally what happens is the market makers will sweep both sides before the real move happens. So if it's going to be a continuation of the bearish price action, then generally you'll sweep those highs and then you see that big dump down. If it's going to be a bullish move to the upside, generally you'll sweep those lows at 184 and then you'll see that big move up. And it's a bit difficult here because from the actual low, this could be counted as an impulse in here. Okay, after that, you get a 3-wave corrective move, followed by another 3-wave corrective move. Now are we going to see one more 3-wave corrective move to take out 184? So you have an impulse followed by an extended WXY correction. After taking out 184, you would look for the move up to pretty much 222-ish. And that's what I think we described last week. So I am still potentially looking for that low at 184 to be taken out. I'm pretty sure I have a horizontal line on it already with an alert, but I will set that alert there. So if we come down to 184 and SFP that low, I would potentially look for a long, and a long to at least take out 211.6. Yeah, and the reason why this down here at 174.5 was so important, because it was our naked daily point of control into your golden pocket, into your value area low, into your pitchfork midline. So if we really start to lose that, that is when you can start to get real cautious of a bigger dump to the downside. You don't want to start to lose this midline here. Actually, this kind of looks like some sort of triangle forming in here. And I would say this looks like a ascending triangle, right? And remember, ascending triangles have a higher probability of breaking to the upside. You just continue making higher lows, higher lows, higher lows, and then it breaks up. And you'd either be looking at the more from the mat low as like an A, B, C, where you're going to hit reject from a lower high at like 222 and then fall over. Or in the bullish case scenario, you're going to break up and start taking out the highs up here at 256. Man, look at that resistance box we had up there at 256. I believe it was on my Coinbase chart as well. We switched to this chart because Coinbase was having problems. Yeah, that was your golden pocket up there. Okay, let's see here. What was the other one we were going to look at? Solana. Couple things on Solana. Obviously, from the low at $60, we've kind of been grinding up in this corrective channel type structure in here. I don't like the way it looks, honestly. I do think that we could break down to see a big move down to take to 58.08, which is our naked monthly point of control. But for now, we're playing a smaller range, right? We're playing this smaller range. We came up to our resistance area, which was an anchored VWAP, a naked monthly point of control, and your value area low, your previous range. You can see this previous range value area low. And you tried to break back into it. You couldn't. You rejected. So, unfortunately, on Solana, I am looking at coming up to that value area high of this smaller corrective range, which is going to be right around 80.4. And you can see SFPing the highs into your golden pocket in your value area high could be the zone where we do see a nice short opportunity. Now, if you break above that golden pocket, you'd be breaking market structure bullishly. Another thing to look at is the market structure, right? So we have our low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, and right as of now, it's still a lower high. Even though it's starting to go more sideways and starting to get exhausted here, it is still a lower high. So the big thing we want to see is a change in market structure. The first major change in market structure would be by breaking above this high at 78.96. Now, let's say we break above it and reject from this golden pocket. Grab liquidity into a golden pocket, reject. You did see technically a bullish break in market structure, right? So then you could come down, find some support, and then continue up. I'm going to be looking for shorts from this area, especially if we're building bear divs on the way up here, which it does look like right now we're starting to build some bear divs. Let's actually look on our 8-hour time frame. How does that look? They're equal, so there's no 8-hour bear divs yet. And no 4-hour bear divs either yet. So, yeah, and you wouldn't expect to see them just quite yet, or maybe just one drive on NAMI, but I want to get up to that, $80 zone to see that potential short from $80. And because we would be breaking market structure, we would have to watch at least for a scenario of a higher low before going higher. We did front run the naked monthly point of control here, and we did front run the naked monthly point of control at 58. Anything actionable to trade right now for me on Solana? No. The only actionable trade we had on Solana was the SFP on last Friday, July 17th. That was it. If you SFP'd that low, you took that. That was a good SFP long. And now the only actionable short I'm looking at is rejecting from this $80 zone. Okay, we got to do gold. So gold is just chopping around the value area low of our bigger range. You can see kind of this whole, and I know that this is very impulsive in here. So I had a couple volume profiles. I included this little bit of price action because it does look like we're starting to form kind of that range in here, but this range could bring you up to here before breaking the range down. And then if you look at our other range that we had pulled on gold, it was really just from the highs because this is clearly impulsive in here. Right there, this range in here. So we're below the value area low of that range. We're below our pitchfork midline. I know this chart is messy, guys. I'm really sorry about that. You can see we're below the value area low, which is a resistance. We have a naked monthly and a naked weekly up here at that zone. And we did reject our prior resistance zone here. Midline, pitchfork midline. I can get rid of that now. And we're close to taking out that liquidity at 38.86. I really do think we could come down to take out that liquidity. For now, you kind of are forming a bottom in here, right? And this is from that bottom being formed, this is your little range. You're at the value area high of that little range. If you break above this area, first off, you would be breaking market structure bullishly locally, right? Because on locally, you have your high, low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. So you want to break above. Well, the big one would be this one at 4103. But even coming and breaking this guy, which we have at 4,081, is now officially starting to see some internal market structure break, right? You're starting to see an internal market structure break. You have to be careful for a rejection right now. But if we can break above 4103, maybe, you know, you'll start to sweep. First off, you'll start to sweep a lot of this. Let's throw a channel there. Just get rid of this. You can see that channel. And you're starting to break out of that channel. It's a pretty steep channel. So generally when you break out of these, especially these real steep channels like this, when you break out, you generally will sweep the liquidity all the way to the top of the channel. Because you sweep this, it causes more stop losses. You sweep that, stop losses, stop losses, stop losses, stop losses, and it just starts to go up quickly. That kind of liquidation hunt. Okay, but on the higher time frames for gold, remember, we're in the bigger pink descending channel as well. So zooming out to the daily. This bigger pink descending channel pulled from the high, the lower high down to your initial low down here. And we are still looking for a larger corrective move, and this could take a way longer, guys. It could be merging into a much larger corrective structure because gold and silver kind of have this, it could take 2 years based on time. But the big important zone is to get back above, you know, to sweep the liquidity of this small little channel. I just showed you all of this, to sweep this and come up to around, you know, $4,300. But that's going to be your next big resistance, because you can see your pitchfork midline is going to be up there, your value area low, and some naked monthly and naked weeklies are going to be up there. Maybe we're going to come up to 43 first before coming down to 38, and then you would see kind of that, you know, left shoulder, head, right shoulder, or tap 1, tap 2, tap 3 accumulation start to occur in here. As far as longing gold, there's nothing. Obviously, I wouldn't long right now. You're at the value area high of your local range in here of the past couple of weeks. But you also didn't have a really good long down here because it was probably your 886. Let's pull that. Yeah, it was right around your 886. $886 does give you strong reactions in a sideways range. This is looking like a pretty flat sideways range in here. So first order of business is breaking out of the value area high of that range. And then the second order of business is taking the highs of the range, right? So if you break out of this value area high, you would expect to, maybe see a small pullback on that break of market structure, back test it, and then you would expect to sweep the range highs. And you'd be sweeping it, depending on how quick it is, right into your, your pitchfork midline, your value area low. But for me, there's nothing actionable on gold right now. Until we take out, if we SFP 3886, I would definitely take that long. Or if we reject from the purple box above us. And actually, I would say that that's probably going to take a little bit longer to get up there. Okay, LTC and Link. I know there was another one that I was supposed to look at. We did near. Let me check Bitcoin real quick first, guys. And let me know in the chat, do you guys like it when I cover some of the altcoin opportunities, or would you guys rather spend a majority of the time focused on Bitcoin? I know Bitcoin is, some of the times when Bitcoin is slow, like at resistance right now, not doing much, I think it's acceptable to check out altcoins or commodities and index funds and stuff like that, or whatever, because Bitcoin's like doing nothing, right? Now, if Bitcoin's exciting, I generally stick on Bitcoin, but the excitement was earlier today. We rejected, started to see a pullback when we pumped into it this morning. Technically, guys, on the 15-minute, coming into resistance, we had bear divs coming into resistance, and we now broke market structure bearishly, right? 1, 2, lower, high, low, higher, high, higher, low, higher, lower, sorry, high, higher, low, higher, 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 high, higher, low, like this. And you broke this low, you broke this low, you broke this low. So technically we have broken market structure bearishly on the 15-minute. And into a macro resistance with some bear divs on the chart. So could we see a B up to golden pocket and then another move down in a C, even if it's a corrective move? And remember, that corrective move, we want it to bring us to around 65K. 65K to 64.8. One hour time frame, we had a sideways range that was developing in here that we're finally starting to break out of today. This was more impulsive in here, sideways range, and now we're starting to kind of see that breakout of that range. But you can see the back test of that value area high is also right around 65K, 64.9. If we turn on our descending channel, you can see the back test is going to be at the same spot. So could we see a small move down to back test that? A small corrective move down to back test that before coming up? I do think we could. As far as the big confirmations for a macro dump from here, they're just not there right now, guys. We're not seeing bear divs on the daily. We're not seeing bear divs on the 8-hour. We're not seeing bear divs on the 4-hour. And I would like to grab the liquidity first. All right, LTC and Link. LTC, we did come down to that major $40 low. We grabbed liquidity of that major $40 low. And now we're breaking above See, we were finding some resistance at the value area high of the range, but we were able to break out of it, and we even broke above our range highs. Look at what happened a couple days ago. You broke out of the range highs, you back tested those prior highs, and now you're continuing up to make new highs locally. I would think that LTC, because there's not a lot in here that's going to keep us. You have an order block right here that has already kind of been ran through, right? You can see that daily order block right here gave us what, 1, 2, 3 days of consolidation in here. And still technically, because we're in a red candle, it's still kind of being that resistance zone. But if we start to break above it, there's nothing to keep us from coming up to $51 to $52. Previous range value area low. Naked weekly point of control, golden pocket. Yeah, I would say, let's see if we can't get that move up to $51 or $52. Big key thing now for LTC is to stay above 45.3. If you start to lose 40, or let's just say 45. If you start to lose 45, you're in trouble. Again, the big thing that I don't like about LTC, just like Ethereum, is that very first move up. Well, actually, no, that was a three-wave move up, but you did take out the lows again. And even in here, you could say 1, 2, 3, 4. You have a very small 4, and then you have that 5. So there is an impulsive move in there. If we're looking at an impulse from the lows, a 1, 2, 1, 2, and then you'd want this thing to keep going up. Maybe your 3 ends around 52. Then you would see some 4 5s coming in. But for LTC, it looks pretty good because you're breaking out of the volume profile here. You've closed a few daily candles above the volume profile value area high. So you're likely to work your way up to your next major volume resistance. And there's not a lot keeping you in here except for that one order block that was right in this green consolidation zone. And that's what you're fighting with right now. No, this. Ooh, yeah, let's hope that it's not a flat because you finally hit that flat target. Very similar to Ethereum, but Ethereum, remember, Ethereum didn't take out this low. Bitcoin and LTC took out that low by making new lows. But it still could be that you would have to classify it as a WXY. 3-wave move up and a W. You would have to say then this is a 3-wave move, even though there is a way to count an impulse there as well. 3-wave move there, and then you'd be looking at maybe some sort of double zigzag in here. But I think Link might be moving up to 52, 51, 52. Not Link, LTC. Interesting. So Chainlink is trying to break up into its previous volume profile. It's coming up to the POC of the range right now. Let's combine it now because we do have. Yeah, I would really be looking even for Chainlink to come up a little bit higher to 880. Man, those double bottoms like that are not good to see, though. Really not good to see. But if you remember on the higher time frames, if you 2-3 weeks ago, I was saying that coming down to that 703 zone, your POC, and that's your POC of your 5-year long range, not your prior bear market accumulation range, but that's your fair value for Chainlink for the past 5 years. So we came down and we double bottomed there. And in the bearish scenario for Chainlink, is we're going to see something like a kind of flat correction in here and then dump down to probably come down to the value area low. But in a more bullish scenario, you are going to see that double bottom around your most macro POC. And then you're going to want to start to break up and really even break above this volume profile. Break up, you know, maybe see some sort of flip to support and continue. Let's pull our golden pocket. Didn't mean to do that. Yeah. Golden pocket is going to be right around that value area high. You also have a naked monthly up there. So the non-log golden pocket actually does have better confluence, even though it is a 35% move to the downside. But I would say that is kind of your nice zone. Golden pocket, naked monthly point of control, and your value area high. So if you break above 880, you're coming up to like 950. 945, 950-ish. All right. Tau. Yeah, we can look at Tau. Slick Shoes, thank you so much, man. I am doing well. I am doing well. Let me scroll to the bottom of the chat real quick here. Okay. I used to mine with my phone back in 2021 lows. Made 2K from just mining it on my phone. Nice, man. Yeah, Tiki Taku, welcome in. Not yet. We didn't hit 57K yet, but we are getting, or 67K. We are getting close, but the reason why we're finding some resistance today where we're at is that naked weekly point of control at 66,875. And it's your anchored VWAP from 98K. This one I can delete, by the way. Yeah, nice. Wayne Rossi, you got a short from 66.8. Good job, man. So from 66.8, we could see a major dump from here, but I'm like the fact that we're bouncing from VWAP right now and continuing up, I think we're going to continue to take out the highs at 67.3. If we do see a lower high being put in, because we did have 15-minute bear divs and we did break market structure bearishly. So you want to look at that golden pocket 786 zone. It's a zone. And you would want to reject and then see a new low being put in. So you'd want to see something like this. You have your break of market structure bearishly by taking out these internal lows. Then you make a move up to golden pocket or 786, and then you come down. If you're in the short from 66.8, man, as soon as we started, if that was me personally, as soon as we started reclaiming the VWAP, I would have taken some profit on the short just to lock in. Just to lock in a little bit. And Wayne Rossi, we're not really seeing any bear divs. Nami is seeing 1 hour bear divs, and Market Cypher was seeing 15-minute bear divs. But on like the more intermediate timeframes, if this was going to be a major high, you would expect to see some sort of 4 hour, 8 hour, intermediate time frame bear divs. We're just not seeing them here. And money flow still looks pretty decent on both Market Cypher and Nami. Now, it could be a different story once we grab the liquidity, right? Okay, I know there was some other coins to look at. I'm going to do these like in 2 minutes a piece, guys. I can't go in depth on these real quick. We've got a lot to cover. Tau came down to the value area low. Looks like we're trying to hold support at the value area low. I would like to come a little bit lower on Tau to grab that liquidity into a naked weekly point of control and a daily. But you're at your value area low. You're consolidating here. You'd want to see some break in market structure, like taking out this. If you start to break this 203.35, that would be a bullish break in market structure, and you would actually want to probably sweep this one as well at 205.4. Then you could start to look for a higher low and then start to push up, and then you would start to sweep all of this. You would look to sweep all of this. But the fact that we have liquidity so close below us, I would be careful. And really 176 is like where I'd really be looking to add to those long or take a new long position. There was a way to count this as an impulse, a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but we've retraced really far now. We've retraced to like the 886 or like probably the 0.9 Fibonacci. And if that's an impulse and you have a wave 2, and then you're going to see a big wave 3, it's very uncommon to retrace, first off, that long and that far down. So now you can adjust your bias. Wait, is this actually a 3-wave corrective move? And now we're going to take out that low before coming higher. But you're at value area low. You don't. Well, you did have some bull divs on the chart. Very slight bull divs coming into the value area low Thursday and Friday. Yeah, but I would wait, guy. I would personally wait until around that SFP into the naked weekly and the daily level. That's me personally. You're at the value area low of a large range. Remember, around the value area low is when you start looking for long. So if you have a position you can enter here reliably, you know, I don't think it's the worst area to start entering. Where was I in the chat? Okay. My Ondo long is printing. Did Ondo start pumping again? Ondo USD. Oh, nice. Yeah, it's actually coming up into that resistance though. So Ondo front ran some resistance that we had, grabbing liquidity into your golden pocket and your liquidity grab into golden pocket because that was a double high there. And you remember Coinbase didn't take that high, but every other exchange did, and that was kind of annoying to see that. But you broke out of your channel. You had this big descending channel. You broke out, you back tested, and then now you're likely to continue higher. Because this looks like now it was a confirmed 3-wave move down. And that 3-wave move down back tested the value area low of the range of the entire corrective move. You can see you back tested the value area low. Actually, it was the value area low at the time. And it was also the value area high of this smaller range. Wow, it's shifting it quite a bit. But you're breaking out of the channel, back testing the channel. Now you're coming up. You are still at resistance in here, guys, so be careful. Still at resistance. If you break above this resistance box, which it's not looking like it wants to see a harsh rejection. If you lose VWAP, then be careful because you might see a big move down. You might see a move down to POC at 36.69. But now that we're breaking out of the channel, watch for those liquidity sweeps. So I would be watching for that 786 into the You know, the 42 to 43 cent zone. Man, and yeah, there's no naked weeklies all the way up to that 43. Value area high is at 41, 41.36. So you're coming up, you're definitely in the zone of resistance here. But the fact that you broke out, back tested, you expected to take out this high at least. If you're in a long position from down here, I would definitely hold it still. Take some profit. Maybe if you come up to value area high and start to reject, you can pull some out. But if we break up through this SFP, you could see just a small pullback to back test the value area high, and then you could continue here as well. And if that's the case, I would expect to start sweeping some highs. VDEX. I don't know if I've ever done that one. VDEX USDT. Dang. Oh man. I would be careful with this. You know, does look like you're starting to find a bit of a bottom, but you look at your last weekly bull divs, only gave you a few weeks of upside like that. I would be looking for an accumulation in this zone, but you don't know. I mean, there's not a lot of history on this thing, right? Let me go to the daily time frame. So I would just play that smaller range at the bottom down here. You have two ranges. You have your prior range up here, and then you have your lower range down here. And then you could just pull your volume, your golden pocket. Like this. We are bouncing from the value area low, and you've broken above the POC, a very nice daily candle above. So I would look to sweep the liquidity here into the value area high. Watch for that liquidity sweep at 005064 into the value area high. And you can also pull from your current range high to your range low. That's only a 23% move, so we'll take that off log scale. Yeah, and your value area high is going to be there. Now, technically, you've already hit into your value area high, or your golden pocket. You can see it's pulled from this high to this low, so you've already hit into it. So it's not as important now, even if you hit into it again. That makes your 786 more important because you have already tapped that golden pocket a few times. All right, we don't have enough. Yeah, I mean, I would be looking for that move up to sweep 005064. Depending on what happens there, if you SFP that, you could see just another rotation back down. But it is starting to look like you got some nice accumulation. You have a low and a lower low. You have higher lows here. You have higher lows here. Money flows in the green coming up. Your money flow starting to come up here. So it looks like, at least for now, it looks like you're starting to see some accumulation form in this range, right? You had your bull divs down here on the daily time frame. So what you would want to see in accumulation is you would want to see this move up to take out the range highs. After taking out the range highs, even if it comes a little bit higher, you can get that pullback down to your golden pocket. And this is where you swing long, right? Because you have your tap 1, tap 2, tap 3, and then you would see expansion. Yeah, you just need to break above that. Instead of SFPing 005064, you want to break above it. Break out of this channel. Okay, let me scroll back to the bottom of the chat here. CFX. Yeah, we can do CFX. CFX. Is that this? It looks like this one might be it. Okay, well, on the weekly time frame, you kind of do have a range going on in here. But it's more of a sideways and down range, so we could take that high, bring it to that lower high, and we'll bring it down to that low. Oop. So you kind of have your sideways and down range here. The fact in this on the weekly time frame, this does look like a corrective move overall. You rejected from your midline. You would want to take out that low on the weekly. You'd want to take out that low, and you haven't done that quite yet. You double bottomed in here. Now, could you, because look at it, there's two double bottom and front runs here. So you could make a move up to grab local liquidity at 053 first, this weekly high. We'll zoom into the daily. Yeah, and I would just be paying attention to two things here. From that low sideways, and then even smaller, this little guy. You're at the value area high of this little guy. You see a few days ago, you rejected the value area high. You came down to the POC. You're seeing a strong bounce at the POC. So this, you would want this to break out of this volume profile and come up and sweep that high at 053. And man, this is like a trend line that's building up here. But it looks like that needs to get swept. And look at, if you would have swept it, you would have had really nice bull divs, but those are trigger waves with higher lows. And generally when you see that, yes, you could see a move up to grab some local liquidity, but after that, you're probably going to come down and sweep it. Sweep all of this into taking out that low. Watch for the daily candle close above or below 0466. If you close your daily above this, and especially above the local highs at 04738, then you're likely to continue pushing up. You might have some naked dailies to watch out for, naked weeklies within around the golden pocket. If you do, okay, no naked monthlies. No naked weeklies. No naked dailies really either in there. Yeah, I mean, if you start to break out and hold above the value area high on a daily close, but look at where you're at, by the way. You're about to run into resistance here. You have a naked daily at the value area high, and then that would even be, yeah, around your golden pocket 786. So very local resistance you're pretty much at. And really, I would be looking at that. If you break above that and close the daily above 04674, then you're likely to take out the high at 04738 and most likely come up to your larger golden pocket. Oh, yes, Hyperliquid and ZEC. Okay, let's do ZEC USD. Jeez, ZEC is just going sideways. Remember, we had this downwards channel. We bounced from a golden pocket, but we came up to another golden pocket, rejected that golden pocket. And yeah, I would honestly just be looking right now to take out those lows at 522. But this looks like it's just extending because remember, when you have a high and then you reject from a lower high golden pocket, you can pull that channel and you bring it down to that initial low. But you don't want to break market structure. Technically, we haven't yet, right? Because all in this, high, higher, low, higher, high, higher, low, higher, high, higher, you know, the whole same thing, higher highs and higher lows all the way up. This is still a higher low, but this is your first time you're putting in a lower high here. Now, we haven't broken that low yet. But if you do, it could be your first shift of a market structure shift, right? You're coming down to your midline right now. If you bounce from this, you still could work your way up to that 593 to 60. It's like 608 when you zoom out onto the higher time frames. It's 608. And then coming down to your one-to-one targets, if we're looking at, you know, a larger corrective move in here inside this channel, that's your zone. It's your back to your value area high. Yeah, you can see that's where your value area high is going to be now as well. But see that, I guess it's now around 603. In some ways, you're forming a triangle here, right? Because you can use the top of this channel as your trend line for the top of the triangle. And then you could use this here. So it's kind of some weird triangle that's forming. But if you start to sweep this liquidity, I think you're going to come down to around, you know, $500. Triangle in here, you get a drop. And then from 500, you would want to see a move up to 603. Yeah, it's not looking good though, too good, because look at, you had the bear divs here. You have a bearish trigger wave on a lower high. Your money flow keeps draining out here. Yeah, you had the bear divs on the 8-hour, bear divs on the 8-hour, and money flow continuing to drain out. You're printing hidden bull divs. What's a little bit strange, a hidden bull div is a continuation pattern. You printed a hidden bull div, but you made a lower high. Then you printed another hidden bull div. You made another lower high here. That's not good. But you had bear divs and now money flows draining out on both NAMI and Market Cipher B. So I would be looking for a move down a little bit. If you start to break those lows, I'd be looking for a move down to like 500. Even the daily bear div on NAMI. Big thing is you can't, if you lose 500, you can see that's the back test of the pitchfork. That's the bottom of your small corrective channel. That's the back test of the value area high of this corrective range. If you start to lose that, then you're in trouble to come way lower, like down to your POCs at 415. That's also going to be where your 786 Fibonacci is. And I think you had a daily level. Oh, that's been tapped. You do have a daily level here. So yeah, you really want to not take out these lows, guys. If you do, you're probably going to sweep down quite a bit lower. Man, Hyperliquid is rejecting from your 1-to-1 to 1.236 target. It's also the back test of the value area low. Oops. So we have a larger range here, but this smaller range that we looked at earlier this week. We did SFP 58.4, which was along we were looking for, into the value area low. Now, what we did not want to see was this. An A, B, C reject from this general zone and then start to roll over. And that's exactly what we are seeing. So in other words, you're likely to take out your lows again. If we break this higher low, which we just did we? No, double bottomed it. So we're seeing a small like scalp SFP long off that. But now that we're breaking or even double bottoming here, it's a bearish change in market structure. It means that this is most likely a confirmed three-wave corrective move up, and now you're about to see new lows come in. You had bear divs coming up into that 1-to-1. Money flow leaving again on the 4. And on you still do have some intermediate high time frame bull divs from this low to these lows. You had the bull divs, but that bull div just gave you a corrective move up to backtest value area low. And once again, you're rejecting from your 1-to-1 target. That's not a good sign. Yeah. Money flow just doesn't look the best either. And remember, the bigger move down was to come down to 52, 51, 52. Seeing that overall kind of flat scenario play out in here. You really wanted that SFP of 58.4 to break you back up inside of this and then see that move up. Yeah, I mean, that 52, 51, 52 area is looking pretty juicy down there. You have a daily at 53. All the weeklies have been tapped. It doesn't look the best for hype right now, guys. It is seeing a nice little scalp reaction off of that double bottom. But now that we have rejected and taken out that higher low, you could even look for a short. Golden pocket 786 zone. 786 is right on that value area high or value area low at 62.6. And then your golden pocket at 62.1. So let's see if we get a short from this zone. I'm going to set an alert on the 786 because I'm not so interested in the golden pocket. But if we come up to that 786, I would potentially look for a short there. Because you did have a naked daily, I believe, up there as well. Yeah, naked daily is up there as well. I mean, it's from today's naked daily, but... or from today's POC. Okay, let me check Bitcoin, guys. Come on, Biddy. What are you doing here? If we lose the VWAP again, I'm not going to like that. I think then in that case, we might see that move down to around 65K first. But we lost it. We were able to kind of reclaim it. And if we hold it now, then you're going to expect that move up. You know, the move down has largely been on a decrease in open interest. You did see some long stepping in, or some new positions, not long, sorry. So look at, you see some new positions stepping in, and those new positions were short positions. From the highs, fresh positions coming in, and they were shorts. And we're seeing a lot of longs close as well. That's why you're also now seeing your open interest drop, and it's causing more shorts to come in, is because a lot of those long positions are taking profit, and the taking profit on a long is a market sell. That's why you're seeing your CVD kind of drop still, but it's also your open interest is dropping because we're seeing longs take profit. Okay, so let's see. All right, guys, I'm gonna look at Doge, and then I can look at, but I got to get going soon here. So let's see, where's Doge at? the big thing with Doge is look at, we broke down below the pitchfork band, backtest, reject, backtest, reject, backtest, reject. So if we come up again to that and reject again, we have a lot of semi-equal lows right down here that you would expect to take out. It almost looks like the same thing, a triangle, right? But in this case, it would be like a bearish triangle where you kind of have something like this and you keep rejecting on lower highs and eventually you break it down. Okay, so wait, let's see. Did we sweep it? You did sweep it with this low, but now you have two lows that are right below it, and you keep rejecting from that bearish backtest of the pitchfork band. Rejection, make new lows. You get above it, you see a failed auction range above it. You'd break down below it. Backtest, reject, make new lows, backtest, equal lows. I would be looking for a move up to at least test it again. Let's see. That's probably where your golden pocket's going to be. That's why you're finding resistance now, is your golden pocket right now. Let's pull that volume profile. Just look at this volume profile. Yeah, okay. I mean, so you're kind of at resistance right now of your golden pocket. Your 786 is still going to be close to that pitchfork band, so I would still be, it's really a zone between this golden pocket and 786. And if you break above the 786, you're going to sweep all of this internal liquidity. That's where your value area high is, but you have to pay attention to this sideways range until you break it. You see this bottoming sideways range in here. Until you break, you find a direction, you have to think about the important aspects within this range. So you can also pull from the highs of the range to those lows. And then that golden pocket at 7.6-ish is going to be important as well, because you would, if you break above this little zone, so if you break above this little zone here, then I think you're going to sweep these two internal highs into that golden pocket. And there's no naked dailies up there or anything. If you break that golden pocket, you're likely to come up and sweep your range highs into your pitchfork band, the upper limit of the pitchfork band. Okay, what is midnight? Midnight USDT. Don't know what this is, but it looks like a real low liquidity coin. Oh man, I would be super, super careful with this. It only launched in December. And it's pretty much after the first couple weeks, it's been in a downtrend, and it looks like you're still seeing aggressive kind of sell-offs in here. But the low that you made, the only thing I would look at is pulling that bearish pitchfork. And let's put it on a skiff. So yeah, you hit the bottom of the pitchfork and you're bouncing from that lower band there. But I would watch out for this upper band now as a rejection zone. Yeah, because you look at, you chopped around the lower band, you flipped it to support, you broke through the midline, flipped it to support. So I would be watching to work your way up to like 0.24 to around 0.25. That's also going to take out this fair value gap that was created. Yeah, because look at, you had a little bit of resistance at the golden pocket. Pull back to back test that pitchfork midline. It held the support, so I would watch at that 786. That's your next resistance, 0.24, like 1.5 or 0.242, and then up to 0.25. Yeah. Actually, I would pull it from here. Definitely that 0.25 area. Zero two four 0.25. It's your larger golden pocket plus your smaller 786 right at the back test of this pitchfork band. Let's see, Senior Trevor. So you said looking like a Model 2 distribution there. Are you talking about on Bitcoin? Or on the one we were just looking at? Yeah. Okay, guys. I know that there's a lot more altcoins you guys wanted me to look at, but I got to get going for today. I will be live again Thursday and Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you're not in the Telegram, get into the Telegram, guys, because I try to keep you guys updated. And mainly I trade just the bigger altcoins, right? Bitcoin, Hyperliquid, ZEC, like ones that are have good liquidity, Solana, mainly Bitcoin, but I will trade some opportunities on some of the altcoins if I see a good opportunity. And also all the alerts we set during these live streams. If we get one of those alerts that go off, I try to let you guys know, hey, we're at this resistance, we're at this support. I'm not taking along, or I am entering along, or whatever it is. You know, I'm entering a trade. So in order to get into the Telegram, you just have to join BYDFI using my affiliate link, deposit a minimum deposit of $100 or more. And then once you've done that, click the Telegram link and type in /verify in your user ID for BYDFI, and that'll get you into the Telegram. Other than that, guys, I know we'll just keep an eye on Bitcoin. I'm really watching to come up and take out those range highs. I'll keep you updated in the Telegram. Thank you guys all for your support. Alex, you the best. Divine, thanks for the hard work. Well, thank you, Alex, for the kind comment. I appreciate it, man. I tried your NAMI code today, but didn't want to work. Is it only on the lifetime? I think, Wayne Rosi, I think it is only on the lifetime. He said at one point that he was going to do it on the month to month. And I don't know if he ever actually followed through that. I'll ask on that, Wayne Rosi. So come back, ask me again on Thursday or Friday for that, and we'll figure that out, man. But thank you guys. Hope you all are doing well. Trade safe out there. Remember, risk management is key. Make sure you're using good risk management on your trades. Bitcoin is at a very, very key decision point in the next day or two. Seeing what happens here could make us roll over very aggressively to the downside, or if we really start to flip that bearish pitchfork, you can see we're coming up to the top of that bearish pitchfork band. If we can break above this, not seeing SFP, but maybe come up a little bit higher, maybe 68.5, and then back test, we could see continuation up here. So let's see what we get, but we'll be prepared for either scenario. We're not seeing the big bear divs we want to see here. Let's just say that. We're not seeing the big bear divs we want to see here. The other thing is total market cap is not quite at the resistance yet. USDT is at support, though. It's always something to watch, guys. We're at support. I don't know why it does that. Look at when you're. There you go. Okay, so at least on the 4 hour, it's saying we didn't take out the low, but when we go to the 1 hour, okay, yeah, maybe not. Coming up to support on USDT, coming down to support on USDT, up to resistance on Bitcoin. So we need to, this is the zone where we could see reversals. But thank you guys. Smash the like button on your way.